Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because every time you do, somewhere in the galaxy, an alien realizes they've underestimated humanity. Let's dive in. The sky above Earth was aflame, not with sunset or storm, but with war. It began with streaks, fiery scars across the atmosphere as alien warships pierced the clouds like obsidian blades. No more pretense, no more warnings, just open conquest from a forgotten outpost buried in the Alaskan permafrost. Former Commander Dorian Vex watched as the night burned. He stood motionless beneath a ragged coat, his breath fogging in the icy air. The outpost had been shuttered for years, left to decay. Like the reputation they'd smeared him with, Vex had been a name once. A leader, a decorated strategist, until the Europa incident. 5 years ago, he'd raised the alarm: alien infiltration, sleeper agents, a pre-invasion network. Earth's command laughed, ignored, then scapegoated. Vex was court-martialed, branded. Paranoid, exiled. But they hadn't taken everything. Deep beneath his base, hidden beneath ice and shame, he'd built his penance. His fury, his guilt, his genius all poured into one monstrous silent creation. A ship designed in secret from salvaged tech, buried data, and unauthorized enhancements. He called it Phantom. The emergency alert cracked through the handheld. Screen beside him, a last-ditch SOS from Earth's dying military. Cities were being glassed. Colonies went dark. Resistance was failing. Vex took one last drag from a bent cigarette, letting the ember flare against the wind. Finally, he muttered, "Time for ghosts to haunt the living." He descended into the icy bunker, past rusted bulkheads and cracked stairs. The doors hissed open to reveal Phantom, cradled in a womb of blue light. Sleek, black, and predator silent. It bore no insignia. It emitted no signal. It didn't need to. "Wake up," Vex whispered as he strapped in. The cockpit came alive with a low chime. System check, active. Cloaking, optimal. Quantum drive, online. Armament, fully functional. Authorization required. Vex pressed his hand to the core sensor. Commander Dorian Vex. Authorization code. Cerberus 7 null. A moment of silence. "Welcome back, Commander. He activated comms. This is Commander Vex to Earth Defense. Code Cerberus 7. I'm airborne. Stay out of my way." A startled voice responded. "Repeat, Commander who?" "That name's..." He cut the channel before they finished. The past didn't matter. The dying needed ghosts. And he was ready to oblige. Phantom lifted from the ice, cloaked instantly, and punched into the sky with the soundless fury of vengeance. It tore through the upper atmosphere, cutting between shattered satellites and flaming debris. As Earth's gravity loosened its grip, Vex locked eyes on the void. The battle over Earth was chaos incarnate. The alien ships weren't just fast, they moved like a hive, synchronously and without emotion. Human vessels looked like relics, patched together survivors caught in a noose. A missile frigate exploded near a lunar transfer hub. No escape. Pods, just vapor. Vex's jaw tightened. He opened the forward scope. Red markers flooded the screen. "All right," he growled. "Let's see if you monsters bleed." He glided Phantom into the shadows between enemy lines, threading the path with ghost-like precision. Had they seen him, they would have shredded him instantly. But the ship's cloak, half alien, half stolen Earth tech, held true. The lead destroyer loomed ahead. 400 meters long, shaped like a talon with red glyphs glowing along its hull. Vex whispered a command. "Target lock." Lock confirmed. Primary weapon primed. Fire. The dorsal lance cut across space, a needle of light. The alien destroyer didn't even have time to react. It collapsed inward, its reactor pulsing once, then vanishing into silence. Panic rippled across comms. "Unknown contact. We've lost. The Dreadhammer. Something's out there." "Repeat, something's hunting us." Vex banked left. Another cruiser tried firing blind. Plasma bolts licked the darkness too slow. He dipped beneath its belly and unleashed. Kinetic pod slugs accelerated to relativistic speeds. They tore through the hull, ripping it apart from within. No dramatic explosion, just a silent death. Rattle. Two down. Then came the interceptors, fast, sleek, angry. Vex reversed thrusters, spun, and met them head-on. His particle destabilizer, a weapon Earth pretended didn't exist, hummed to life. "Eat me," he muttered. A silent discharge. The first interceptor dissolved like sugar in acid. The others broke formation too late. He nailed one with a micro-missile. The second fled. Cowards. The coms crackled again. "Unknown ship identify." "You're not broadcasting IF. Who are you?" He didn't answer. No time for politics. Then, through a haze of static, "Unknown vessel, you're in. Violation of treaty protocol, identify or face fire." Vex dropped his voice modulator. "This is Commander Dorian Vex of the ship Phantom. I'm not here to talk. Watch your east flank." Then silence. He didn't wait for response. The cloak pulsed. Weapons reloaded. He swung Phantom wide, ready to carve through another wave. But then the void shifted. A new signal. Massive, predatory, cloaked in shadow and red sigils. He felt the chill in his bones before sensors confirmed it. The enemy's command ship had arrived. The shape above Earth was too big to comprehend all at once, more fortress than ship. It hovered above the planet like a second moon, casting a long shifting shadow. Dorian Vex stared at it with a clenched jaw. He recognized that outline. He'd studied its silhouette from stolen data fragments, seen it again in the worst of his nightmares. The aliens called it the Dread Host, the personal flagship of the High Mind, their supreme will made manifest. Earth's brass had long believed it destroyed during the Martian uprisings. They were wrong. The Dread Host pulsed once. A silent red wave spread across the battlefield. Every alien ship, no matter how damaged, how deep in pursuit, stopped in perfect synchrony. And then they turned, all of them, toward him, toward Phantom. "They see me," Vex whispered, flicking through defensive overrides. "Guess I hit a nerve." He re-engaged the cloak. Too late. The signal had already marked him. Every warship in orbit knew where he was. The first wave came like a tidal rush. Plasma bolts, magnetically charged nets, destabilization fields meant to crush hull integrity. Phantom dove hard, twisting into evasive patterns so sharp the inertial dampeners screamed. The ship groaned beneath the stress. Sparks flew across the console as a tractor beam grazed the left wing. Internal sensors flared red. Vex clenched his jaw and pushed Phantom into a corkscrew maneuver, spinning between two enemy cruisers whose gun ports ignited just a second too late. Another round of shots peppered the space where he'd been. One scrape caught the tail fin, tearing off a panel. The ship bled energy, systems whining, but she held. "She's not done yet," Vex growled. He leveled the nose of the Phantom directly at the heart of the Dread Host, locked targeting systems, and issued a brutal override. "All forward weapons. Bridge coordinates, safety protocols. Bypass. Warning, core heat threshold critical. Firing may result in system failure." "I said do it," the Wraith roared. Plasma lances, disruptor bolts, and kinetic salvos all screamed forward in unison. The Dread Host took the hit. Its shield flashed blue, flickered, then buckled barely. A crack formed along its bow. Vex saw the breach, narrow but real. That's all he needed. He pushed the thrusters to max and hurled Phantom straight at the wound. Inside the cockpit, systems failed one after another. Red lights, short circuits. The emergency lights cast the interior in hellish hues. And then it hit. The collision sent Vex slamming backward into his chair. Sparks erupted from the ceiling as alarms screamed around him. For a moment, there was only darkness, smoke, and the high-pitched hiss of failing oxygen seals. But he was still alive, and outside, through the cracked glass of the viewport, the Dread Host's bridge was gone, reduced to a twisted wreck. The ship hadn't exploded, but it was wounded, deeply, and in their hive mind, that kind of wound was unforgivable. Vex laughed dry and hoarse, not from joy, but because he knew what came next. A new signal blinked onto the console. Not from Earth, not from the fleet, not from the Dread Host. His breath caught in his throat. He pressed a key to answer. The screen flickered, then revealed a face, or something that pretended to be one, humanoid, but twisted. Its proportions were wrong. Its eyes were black wells, deeper than space, and its voice slid across the speakers like oil, syrupy, cold, and precise. "You again." Vex leaned forward. "You remember me? You are the defect, the interference, the one who delayed the Europa cycle. Europa was never a cycle. It was your first invasion." He snapped. The thing tilted its head in mock curiosity. "Invasion is a human word. We cleanse, we integrate. You were unready." Vex narrowed his eyes. "Then explain how I just peeled open your command ship with a prototype and a grudge." The thing didn't answer, just watched, then smiled, and cut the signal. Vex staggered to his feet. Blood trickled from his temple. The floor was slick with coolant. Half the systems were dark. Emergency protocols were flashing in low rhythm. The core had gone silent. "Come on," he muttered, kicking a panel. "Don't die now." He dropped to one knee beside the manual override, pulled a tool from a side holster and yanked open a conduit. Sparks burst outward, searing his sleeve. Still, nothing. He forced open a floor panel and dropped into the belly of the ship, crawling through smoke-filled access tubes. His lungs burned. Every muscle throbbed. At last he reached it. Source, nestled in a containment cage of reinforced titanium, was the secret no one else on Earth knew about. A piece of alien tech. A living one. He had salvaged it after Europa, stripped it from a dead scout during the cleanup. Earth Command had called it unstable, dangerous, unfit for research. They were right, but Vex hadn't thrown it away. He'd adapted it. The Phantom's stealth systems, its reactor, its weapons, all reverse-engineered from the artifact. Now he needed more than its influence. He needed its power. "Link to core," he ordered, his voice raw. "Warning, full interface breach may trigger irreversible mutation." "I'm not asking," Vex growled, flipping the final override. The alien artifact flared to life. A pulse, deep violet, exploded through the chamber like a heartbeat. It wasn't sound, it was sensation. Visions gripped his skull. Memories not his. Stars dying, cities crumbling. Languages he didn't know whispered into his brain. Then silence. And light. All across Phantom's interior. Power surged back. Lights stabilized. Systems rebooted. The core's hum returned stronger than before. The ship was alive again, and something else had awakened with it. Core synchronization at 112%. Alien integration stabilized. Weapon systems unlocked. Vex gasped, dropping to his knees. Whatever the artifact had done, it worked, but it had also changed him. He could feel it now, in his skin, in his blood. He wasn't alone in his body anymore. Outside the ship, the alien fleet noticed the change. They paused, readjusted formation. But not to attack. To retreat. Something about what Vex had become made them nervous. Good. They were regrouping, not fleeing, not charging, waiting. That told Vex everything he needed to know. The fleet wasn't retreating out of fear. It was recalibrating, waiting for orders. The Dread Host might have been crippled, but its presence still hung like a blade over Earth's throat. Vex climbed back to the cockpit. His fingers shook, not from exhaustion, but from the strange sensation building inside him. He gripped the console and spoke. "Status." The Phantom's voice returned, smoother, more organic. "Power, 89%. Weapons, online, cloaking, engaged. Integration. Stable, human biological markers. Adapting. He paused on that last line. What do you mean, adapting? Internal vitals have shifted. Neural pattern augmented. Sensory range expanding. He didn't have time to panic. Whatever the artifact had done, it had hardwired itself into him and the ship. They were now one. And Earth still had a war to finish. He opened the emergency frequency. Static. Then a voice. Younger, urgent, laced with disbelief. This is Commander Rin of Earth Defense. Who the hell is this? Where did that ship come from? Commander. Dorian Vex, he said bluntly. The man you left in a snow-covered hole to rot. There was a pause. You were discharged for... Yeah, I know. You can thank your brass later. I just opened a hole in their flagship and scared their fleet into hesitating. A breath. We tracked the energy signature. That ship, what is it? A last chance, Vex replied. Listen carefully. That thing in orbit isn't dead. You've got 20 minutes, maybe less, before it retaliates. Fall back behind the lunar debris field. Use it as cover. Buy me time. We're not taking orders from a... You are, Vex cut in, voice sharp. Because I'm the only reason you're still transmitting. Move. He shut the channel again. Earth wasn't ready to listen. That hadn't changed. But they'd obey, if not. Out of loyalty, then out of desperation, Vex descended to the secondary deck, one he hadn't entered in over a year. He pushed through flickering doors and reached the engine bay, where the artifact housing throbbed like a heart. The violet glow was stronger now, alive. He stared into it, then did something mad. He opened the chamber. The artifact pulsed in recognition. Like it remembered him. Merge, he whispered. Warning. Full synchronization may overwrite baseline cognitive function. Do it anyway. The ship trembled. The artifact screamed. Not with sound, but with visions. Vex collapsed to his knees. He saw civilization swallowed in silence. Creatures like thought given form. Empires lost before Earth had learned to write. And then he saw himself, not as Dorian Vex, but as a variable. An anomaly. A disruption. You are not part of the plan, the voice said. But you changed it. He staggered to his feet. Blood dripped from his nose. The artifact's light faded to a simmer. The integration was complete. The ship thrummed around him. No longer a vessel, but a hybrid, a living engine of vengeance. Outside, enemy vessels began to realign. The moment of fear had passed. They were adjusting, adapting. Vex moved quickly. There was one last system left. A failsafe buried in the Phantom's core. A singularity bomb, designed to be a last breath for a dying planet. It wasn't part of Earth's design. It was his. He climbed to the launch deck, opened the casing. A cylinder the size of a reactor core blinked slowly. Authorization required. Vex. Black Protocol 100. Detonation sequence armed. 60 seconds. He leaned against the wall. Chest heaving. Sweat poured from his brow. He had no illusions. This was suicide. Let it be, he thought. But then the artifact spoke again. You will not die here. What? He whispered. Light burst from the core. Not like before. Not painful. Beautiful. Blinding. He screamed not from agony, but from understanding. He saw them again. The ones behind the invaders. The architects of assimilation. They didn't destroy civilizations. They harvested them. Earth wasn't a target. It was the missing piece in something. Vast and alien. And he was now the lock that kept it closed. The timer blinked. 27 seconds. What do you choose? The voice asked. Choice? He rasped. You mean to become like you? Not like us. Like yourself. Evolved. He stared at the console. He could let the countdown finish. Burn everything. Take the invaders with him. Or he slammed his fist on the abort. The timer froze. The artifact pulsed once. Gently. Then something unbelievable happened. The alien fleet stopped advancing. The dread host opened, not with weapons, but with deference. Like a beast recognizing its master, the Phantom, now glowing with alien patterns, rose from its launch pad, silent and regal. Vex stood in the cockpit, dizzy but alive. The invaders turned and left. No warning, no retreat. Just silence as they vanished into the deep black of space. Earth was saved, but not because it had won, because something bigger had decided to wait. Silence blanketed Earth's orbit, not the peace of victory, but the pause of something unfinished. The alien fleet was gone. No message, no demands. Just vanished like predators who'd tasted something dangerous and chose to back off. Inside the Phantom, Dorian Vex stood alone in the cockpit. The lights of Earth glowed faintly below, scarred, fractured, but alive. He touched a flickering panel. Status: structural damage, 46%. Core integrity, stabilized. Alien integration, 71%. Earth defense requests communication. He stared at the blinking light. He already knew what they wanted. Patch them in. Static. Then a voice, nervous, youthful. "This is Commander Rin of Earth Defense. Unidentified pilot, state your name and designation." He leaned toward the mic. "I'm not unidentified," he said flatly. "I'm Commander Dorian Vex, the one you disgraced and left to rot." The line went silent. Then another voice took over. Older, measured, cold. "Vex, this is General Kellner." Vex's jaw clenched. Kellner had been the one who approved his discharge. A politician in uniform. The kind of man who fought wars through press releases. "I assumed you were buried under a glacier," Kellner said dryly. "You assumed wrong. We saw the weapon systems, the alien energy patterns. You've interfaced with technology we can't identify. That's a threat, Vex." There it was. The truth. Even now, after he'd saved the planet, they were more afraid of him than the invaders. "You call it a threat," Vex said. "I call it a survival instinct your committees never had. You're a security risk. And you're a bureaucrat pretending to command a battlefield." Vex exhaled slowly. "I'm bringing Phantom in. Not because you ordered it, but because I have things to say. And you're going to hear all of it." Kellner didn't respond. But Vex recognized that silence. They were already preparing the cage. The Phantom descended slowly through Earth's ravaged sky, fire trailing behind her like a scar. Below, the planet looked like a survivor, staggered, but breathing. He brought the ship down outside the ruins of the New Geneva. Command hub. 4 gunships waited. 2 squads of armed soldiers, and a man in a black coat standing at the front. Not Kellnar. Vex powered down weapons, but kept the cloak system on standby. He stepped out alone. The air was thin, cold, and bitter. The man in black stepped forward. "Commander Vex, I'm Director Malin, Earth Intelligence." "Of course you are," Vex muttered. "Kellner sent you to sweep this under the rug?" "Kellner's out. There's a new chain of command now, and it starts with you." That caught Vex off guard. "Walk with me," Malin said. They moved through the burned skeleton of what had once been Earth's strategic nerve center. Shattered glass crunched beneath their boots. Drones zipped through the air, scanning rubble. Survivors huddled in makeshift tents, staring like ghosts. "You saved them," Malin said. "Whatever that ship is, whatever you've become it. Scared the hell out of our enemy. They'll be back. Then we'll be ready." Vex didn't answer, but he knew Earth wouldn't be ready. Not unless it changed everything. In the days that followed, Malin brought him deep beneath the ruins, into vaults long sealed from public knowledge. There, in a stasis chamber, pulsed something familiar. Another artifact, smaller, fainter, but alive. "You're not the only one," Malin said quietly. "We recovered this 5 years ago. South Africa, buried under a desert crater." Vex stared at it, felt the pulse in his bones. The same hum as the one in Phantom, but quieter, dormant. You knew about this, he said. We thought it was inert. Until now. You've been sitting on a bomb. A cosmic flare, Malin nodded. And now, because of you, we've lit it. Vex turned away from the artifact. Jaw clenched. He wasn't angry at them. He was angry at himself for being right back on the surface. Earth defense scrambled to rebuild. Martial law spread across regions. Colonies went dark to avoid detection. Satellites were reprogrammed. But beneath it all, fear lingered. Because people had started to whisper. About the ship with no flag. About the man who came back from exile. With weapons not from Earth. About the one who destroyed a god's command. Ship and lived. Legends were forming. And Vex hated every one of them. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't chosen. He was a mistake that worked. Then one morning, Malin returned with a tablet and a pale expression. We've got a problem. Vex didn't move. Another one? This one's different. One of our deep space listening posts picked up a signal. It matches the artifact's energy frequency. Vex turned slowly. Where? Malin showed the coordinates. A dead star cluster on the edge of the known map. Nothing should be there, he said. That's the problem, Malin answered. They called us. Vex stared at the map, the coordinates. The signal that shouldn't exist. They lured us, he whispered. I nodded grimly. We're preparing a recon team. No, Vex cut in. Don't send anyone. We need intel. You'll send people to die. You won't understand what you're looking at. Malin hesitated. Then you go. Vex didn't speak for a long time. Then softly he said, I'll take Phantom, no one else. That night, he sat in the cockpit, staring at the stars. The ship pulsed gently beneath him, alive and waiting. The artifact inside no longer whispered. It called. You led them here, Vex said. Now show me why. At dawn, without fanfare or orders, the Phantom vanished into the black. One man. One? Ship. One question still burning in the dark. Had he saved Earth or doomed it?